Nehemiah. Nehemiah. I think that's how you say it. Nehemiah. Nehemiah. So this was a pretty short book. It it's definitely a continuation of Ezra. I actually heard or read when researching a lot of these books that this was, I believe Ezra and this was originally one book. I don't know why you got separated or whatnot. But so Nehemiah is concerned for Jerusalem. He apparently was the cupbearer for King Artax, for a king. And, this definitely a man of prayer. That is definitely a theme here, and he prays that the king will have mercy on him. And he sat in one day. The king asked him, what's going on? And he said, I wish I could go and help my people rebuild in Jerusalem, the temple, the wall. And even though Ezra was focused more on the whole temple, this book is focused more on the wall. Of course, the temple it's in that same era, that same part. The king allows him to go. Nehemiah, inspects the wall. He gets the ball rolling. He is extremely specific for a lot as to, again, a chronicle of names, but as to who is fixing what, the person next to him and the person next to him and the person next to him, which is a weird way of chronic, of keeping a record of, but it's how it is done there. No harm, no foul. I just don't get the point of that, but so be it. Then we had, people complaining about the wall a lot. Hear us, our God, for we are being mocked. May they're scoffing. So this little prayer was kind of like used almost as a weapon. He's like, hear us, our God, for we are being mocked. May their scoffing fall back on their own heads, and may they themselves become captives in a foreign land. Do not ignore the guilt. Do not blot out their sins, for they have provoked you to anger here in front of the builders. They provoked you, not provoke God. But it was just, it was, I don't want to use the word petty, but, they mock you, so be it. But anyways, it's to the point that, he had to put half the men to guard him with the spears and bows. And, Nehemiah starts talking to the people of the town, and they say, because of the famine, we've had to struggle. We've had to sell our children to slavery. The interest that we're paying, it's never ending. Our land is mortgaged, and our land and fields and homes are mortgaged to different people. It's pretty sad. And Nehemiah goes to the nobles and the officials and says, you're hurting your own relatives by charging interest. You're selling them back into slavery. Like, how can you do that? How can you redeem them? So he he has a good conversation. He's a great leader. He seems to be a really great leader and a great man of prayer and a great man of faith. And he's leading these folks into fixing the wall, against all odds. And he forgives a lot of debt. He forgives interest. He gives back interest that he's taken for money that he's lent. He has 150 Jewish people at his table. So he's doing a lot for the people, and he asks those in charge to do their part. If he was a quoting man, I would say that he says, you know what, guys, if we all do a little, no one has to do a lot. Um, they come and tell him, they try to, scare him. Your enemies are coming tonight. Ironically, because he's a good leader and he had everybody motivate, they got the wall fixed in 52 days, which seems to be a heck of a feat when they didn't. He did a registry of the people that came back in exiles, which is very much like Ezra. And one, he put. So my guide gave me the idea to call together all the nobles and leaders of the city. But it didn't have where he talked to God, so it was a weird wording. But he became governor, and rightfully so, because he was a great leader. And then there's the registry, and 42,360 people came from Judah, and horses and all this. And my favorite part, the wisdom that I got was they read from the book of the law of God and clearly explained the meaning of what was being read, helping to understand each passage. So to me, the studies began. And it's the first time that I see them kind of taking a stand and making it a point that they're studying. And he seems to kind of bring the respect of the Bible, of the Torah, of the law, the love of the scripture. He seems, what I get out of here is remembering that the word has been inspired by God. There's a lot of wisdom. There's a lot of instructions. There's a lot of instructions on corrections, kind of like the temple. I was talking about Ezra rebuilding the temple. There's a lot of instruction on correction. So out of this book, that's what I got out of a lot, is for us to always remember to, go back to the wisdom, go back to those words that were inspired by God, and learn something from it. Be inspired from it, learn some instructions, get some guidance, and learn how to correct yourself, and how to make better choices, and how to walk a better path. Even if you're doing your best could always get better. I heard somebody once say that even when you're losing in chess, there's always a best move, and you should always make it. Then there's a long prayer on the festival, after the festival, or throughout the festival, on chapter 9. And the way the prayer is done, it seems like it's a review of the Old Testament, a review of the Torah, of the Bible. And the people agree to obey. There's a vow. including, holding the Sabbath, and, on the seventh year, letting your land rest and cancel debts owed. And it seems like he goes away. Family of the Perez. Mr. Perez. Not to highlight that. It seems like he went away, came back, and the walls were holding up strong, but the people were not doing their best. And it ends with very much with the same issues about marriage. And then I commanded that the gates of Jerusalem be shut down. Yeah, because he saw people, buying, selling, working on the Sabbath. And, he's like, man, we've been studying the law, and this is exactly what happened to our ancestors, and this is exactly how they angered God, and this is exactly how he punished them. This is exactly how they became slaves again. This is exactly why the temple got destroyed. This is exactly, why are we doing the same thing and expecting a different result? Let's reform. And him, because he's such a great leader, is working on the reform again, and he put plans in places where they shut down the gates of the walls on Friday before Shabbat, and they don't open until after Shabbat. And then he, talks about the same stuff with the priest and the marriage, intermarriages and whatnot. And that's how it ends. Next book, Esther. So out of this book, read the wisdom, seek the wisdom, seek instruction. It doesn't have to be word by word, Wisdom is what you extract. Extract the instruction that makes you feel like, I know better. I know that's what I should be doing. And search for it and pray, ponder, ask, go in, have mercy. And he was the leader of the people. Like, he prayed for his people. He had a lot of love, a lot of respect, a lot of concern for his people. That is definitely something to model.